If you've, I don't know if anyone's been traveling recently, but if you've been to an airport recently and you're waiting at the gate, for some reason, and I don't know if this is true for all airlines, because I don't, my experience with airlines is a little limited. I do like to fly Spirit once in a while. I know that's almost heresy among most people, right? Everyone hates Spirit, right? But I do like to fly Spirit because you know what you get. What is it? You get what you pay for, right? You pretty much, there's no frills, there's no, you know what to expect. And then of course my other favorite airline is always Southwest, but Midway is so far away. It's not even worth the trip half the time. But anyways, but I feel like this is only something that I feel like only happens whenever I'm at the airport, but especially where I am. But the gate area where we line up is always really, really, really crowded. And it seems like they have like 10 flights going out of one gate within like every 10 minutes or something. It's so crowded there. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that. It's so crowded that sometimes like you walk in that area, you can just like feel the humidity, right? The mouth breathing and the sweat, and it's just, right? It's just really not a very pleasant experience, right? It just adds that much more stress to the flying experience. But then something kind of happened. No matter how crowded it is, all of a sudden they start, they start doing that pre-boarding announcements, and then you see people moving. I see people that, even like older people in wheelchairs, they're like pushing people aside. They're moving. I've never seen people walk as fast before. And they're jockeying for their position. Even they're I think not Southwest. Spirit does it. A lot of other airlines do. You just board by zone number, right? You have a zone 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, and then you're only supposed to line up when your zone number is called. But let's be honest, everyone lines up anyways, right? It's got so bad, but even recently, like Spirit started looking at all the tickets. Like if you're in the line where they call your zone number, there's like a 4th or 5th guy who's walking up and in the line to make sure it's the right zone number. And if you're not, it's like get out of line, wait till your zone number is called. That's how bad it's getting. But anyways, you see people are like pushing, and they're pushing, and what are they pushing for? Why are they pushing and almost like, pushing each other over to get in this line?
To get first.
To get what?
To get into the line first.
To get in the line first. And that's the funny thing, right? The funny thing is we're all trying to get in the line first. But honestly, what's the rush? Let's be honest, right? We all know from a perspective, maybe you're one of those people who is a nervous flyer, and you get there, you just have to be the first person in the plane, buckle your seatbelt, do whatever your pre-flight preparations are. But for the most part, let's be honest, whether you're the first person on the plane or the last person on the plane is going to take off at the same time and land at the same time. And unless really pushing to be first in your group doesn't really change anything, because especially in the vast majority of airlines, only one airline doesn't assign seats, right? Only one doesn't. All the other airlines assign seats. So it's not like someone's going to take your seat. Right? So then what are we pushing in? And there's this irrational fear, like, I have to be first. I have to be first, no matter what. And you see this everywhere, and especially, air travel is just one of those things where you see it a lot. And it just doesn't make any sense. Yet when it comes to a lot of other things, we're pretty much okay with other people being first. For example, again, speaking hypothetically, let's say like church things. For the most part, when it comes to church things, no one's pushing and shoving to come through those doors to get here on time, number one. No one's lining up to be in zone 1 to sit in that first row or anything. Let's be honest, right? And when it comes to Gurbana, everyone's like, I'm a zone 8. I'm more of a zone 8. Zone 8 is like not even the foyer, it's like outside the foyer. I'm more of a zone 8. No, right? We're not really pushing ourselves when it comes to that. And even when I look at the gospel reading for today, it's pretty interesting because here the apostles had a dispute amongst themselves about who would be first. And whenever I read things like that in the gospel, I tend to wonder, I'm like, man, these apostles, I wonder if they had a little bit of Malayali blood in them or something. Because they're disputing amongst themselves who's going to be first. And of course, just like normal, whenever the teacher catches them, what are they doing? They're like, whoa.
Kept quiet.
Kept quiet. I can almost, I see that. This is like the perfect plot for like a Malayalam movie. I can see it. But I feel like that's what this is, right? It's like everyone's jockeying to be first. Yet, it's like airline travel. In the sense that it really doesn't matter who is first on the plane or who's last on the plane. At the end of the day, we're all on the same journey, and we're all trying to get to the same destination. And almost like this, we pretty much have assigned seating. We don't have to worry about our seats even. Yet for some reason, there's always that dispute. And we want to be first in everything. And it's almost an irrational thing. I want to be first in education. I can even imagine now today, like, with people, the parents are going to go home and tell their kids, yeah, it's nice and all what Hudson said about not being first all the time about everything. That's great. Listen to him, but except for your studies. For your studies, you must be first for everything. Right? That's our mentality, isn't it? Studies in school, you have to be first. Ignore, okay, listen to Hudson about everything. When it comes to studies, make sure you're always first. But think about the things that we put our pressure on to be first all the time. A lot of times the pressure we put on our kids, or a lot of times we put the pressure on ourselves. Like I said, no one's putting pressure on themselves to even, beat down those doors to get here, at before 8:30 for morning prayer. I was here early morning doing the preparatory order, and about 8:25, I look back here, and the thing, the church is looking empty at 8:25. I'm like, okay, no one's here yet. We're just going to try 8:30. And even sometimes we even notice that, it's not so prevalent now because the church is relatively light, if we will, we're a little empty today. But even when we're a little full, the downside is I've noticed that a lot of times we tend to push certain people to the back and almost give them like a second-class status. Because sometimes we're thinking like you can get, for those of us who do come to church and do come regularly and things like that, we almost have like an assigned seat in the pew. And I know it caused a lot of confusion when those first 2 rows of pews were taken out. There was a lot of confusion. People were like, wait a minute, where do I sit down? I know, it takes some, and I know, that's how much we're invested in where, maybe it's because there's the butt imprint is on the push cushion, and that's the only place you can sit, and you don't want to put your butt impression on somebody else's butt impression, whatever it is. It just doesn't feel comfortable, I get it. But a few weeks later, now there's no comfort. Everyone's kind of where they want to be, right? And a lot of times, the people that tend to get pushed to the back, what I notice a lot of times, are actually young children. And I bring this up today, I think it's a great time to bring this up now because it's quite empty in the back. But the young children, especially the young babies, tend to get pushed toward the back, and for a lot of reasons. For one reason is because maybe because they make a lot of noise, and the parents might feel a little self-conscious. Or maybe the parents would like to be up here with their children, but other people make them feel bad. We've had personal experiences before when our child was young, and we made a decision not to leave the church for any reason. Not to go to the back of the church, because especially the young children, specifically here when Christ is talking about, this always touches me whenever Christ talks about young children. Whenever he talks about young children, he talks about this idea about, what does he say? Don't keep them from me. Right? Don't keep don't keep them away from me. Accept these little children. Because when you accept these children, who also are you accepting? What does St. Mary say? Whoever receives one of these little children in my name also receives me. So then if you look at the exact opposite, look at the reverse of that. If I'm rejecting one of these children, what am I doing? I'm also rejecting Christ. That's a very serious charge against all of us. When we come in a situation where you see maybe a child makes noise, and like I said, I've said this before, and it's something that I'm kind of passionate about. Maybe I'm passionate because I'm the father of a young child. But we made a decision, no matter who gave us a dirty look, we're not going to go to the back. And it's happened before. We've gotten dirty looks before from people just because the child, in her own innocence, makes noises. That's what children do. There's a quote by someone that I read in one of the church fathers, I think, or one of the Orthodox articles that I read sometimes, and it says that if you don't hear the sound of children, of babies in your church, that means your church is dying or dead. If you do not hear the sound of children, babies, in the church up here, then that means your church is either dying or it's already dead. That's a very serious charge. Because a lot of times what we do is when we send these kids to the back, what happens is, like especially with their young little eyes, they can't really see anything. What do they see back there? They'll see the back of your heads. Or they might look at the wall or something. Or they'll look at the carpet, wherever they play. But what we try to do is we try to encourage as many of the young children to be up in the front. Why do we want these young children to be up in the front? It's almost logistically, right? Yes, the young children are vertically challenged, so they can't see the altar if they're standing behind a grown-up. It's very simple. And most little children, they don't get everything that goes on up here. Even most adults don't even get everything that goes on up here. But that's not the point. The point is at least they see something. When they see something, they can receive some kind of grace from it. The same thing, like if we always wait for our kids to grow up and make their own choices, then why do we do any of the sacraments we do in the church? Why do we baptize at infancy? Why do we give them communion before they can even speak? Think about it. And yet, when we do these actions, when we do something, when we push these parents and these kids to the back, we make them feel like second-class citizens because we're rejecting them in the same way that Christ is warning us against rejecting these children. What we should be doing is in that case, encouraging them to always be first, encouraging these kids to be first. Because I would like us to encourage one another to be first, not just when it comes to our schoolwork, or not just when it comes to our professional work. You know, we all want to have the best project turned into our bosses early as possible, make everybody wow, maybe get that bonus, maybe get that promotion, whatever it is. If you're in school, you want to get that project done, do really well in that test, make the grade. And all that stuff is good. No one's saying not to do any of that. But all those things are very worldly concerns. And we're very good about being first place when it comes to our worldly concerns. But our concern is not about that. Our concern is about the spiritual concerns. And why can we not be as competitive and pushy and aggressive when it comes to our spirituality? Because that's the one place where I know we're willing to make the most compromises, is when it comes to our spirituality. At a meeting of some youth a very long time ago, I remember, there was a question that came up about what do we do when there's non-Orthodox people present? Can we still pray? We don't want to offend them. And it's almost disheartening to hear that. Is it okay to pray when there are non-Orthodox people around? Can we pray when there are non-Christians around? And we don't want to offend anybody. And it's not about offending people. I always look at it the other way around. What if you were the one Christian or the one Hindu or the one person and you were attending like your friend's, Muslim wedding or something? Or you're attending like, a gathering of other people, especially if it's a spiritual gathering. Are they going to give us consideration before they do their prayers? Probably not. If for some reason when it comes to our own spirituality, that's the first thing that we're willing to compromise on. Christ is giving us that warning. If we're going to be first about something, let us be first. Let's be the first to that door every Sunday morning. Let's push these kids rather than pushing them to the back and giving their parents dirty looks every time their kids cry. Let's give them a smile and encourage them to come forward. Because every time a kid coos and cries and makes noise in the church, that's how they worship. They don't know how to speak yet. They're babies. But that's how they worship. They hear us singing and they want to sing along with us. So what are they doing? They make noises. Because they hear us singing and they want to join in our choir. They want to join in our chorus of our voices. So instead of giving them dirty looks and pushing them to the back, we should encourage them to say, please let's come up here to the front so that your child can also see. So that your child can receive the grace that comes from this altar. And all of us, in addition to encouraging our kids to be number one in school, let us also encourage them not to be number one in Sunday school competition for the trophy. But that's great, that's a nice trophy you get at home. Not only for that. But how about being number one here in the altar? How about being number one in Qurban? How about being number one on Sunday morning so that they're prepared and can participate in morning prayer? Let's be number one in things that really matter. Because like I said, for all those other things, that's great. But like those people who are pushing for number one in the airport, it doesn't really matter. We're all going to take off and we're all going to land in the exact same place. Our journey is the same. We're all trying to get to the exact same place. So let's be number one in that so that we can actually be, on that journey. Go to the kingdom. Work on that journey. Try to be number one in that journey. All praise and thanksgiving to the Blessed Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and always and forever and ever. Amen.